Hey guys, what's going on? Jam here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit more shorter-term technical analysis on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets, and more specifically, we're going to be talking about the little crash that we've seen here on Bitcoin over the last couple of days. Now, some of you will say, oh, well, yeah, Bitcoin crashing 12 or 13%, that's not a crash. Hubert might agree with you. I would say that Bitcoin crashing 12 or 13% is definitely into crash territory, and it's definitely into crash territory when Bitcoin falls below one of the most important moving averages that Bitcoin actually has, the 20 exponential moving average. As you guys know, I use this moving average to determine when Bitcoin is in an uptrend or a downtrend, and Bitcoin was above this uptrend, this uptrending level of support, this moving average, for 115 days. But just yesterday, Bitcoin actually broke below it for the first time in that time, signaling and confirming the start of a new downtrend. Now, guys, sometimes confirmations of downtrends are not 100% accurate, but in today's video, we're going to be going over the technicals and seeing if this is actually confirmed, and if so, we'll be discussing where Bitcoin might be headed here over the next couple of weeks. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, what I want you to do is go down there in the description, smash that like button, guys, punch a hole straight through your monitor, and then send me a picture on the Discord server, and I want to see what you did to your monitor. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell, guys, but without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into it. Bitcoin currently finds itself trading around $7,753, and if you watched yesterday's video, then you will know that I discussed how Bitcoin was more than likely going to fall below this level of support, this uptrending moving average right here. It's now downtrending, actually, because Bitcoin's been trading sideways and now moving to the downside. But I said, don't get too interested in shorting this market. Don't go selling all your Bitcoin just yet. Don't go making a bunch of trades on this market just yet. What I want to see happen first, before we make any major trades, and again, before we have this decision point confirmed as the beginning of a new downtrend, I want to see a candlestick open below this 20 exponential moving average. And in fact, that's what we've had happen. The moving average, excuse me, not the moving average, the candlestick that we're looking at right now has in fact opened below the 20 EMA. And the fact that it has done that, and the fact that only one candlestick has done that, would be what I would call a soft confirmation of a bearish rally, or in other words, a downtrend. It's called a soft confirmation, I would call it, because we've only seen one candlestick open below this moving average. If we were to see this one close and another one open below this moving average, then that would be a hard confirmation. I'd say, okay, yep, we're done. Downtrend is starting. But I really want to wait a little bit more, just another 24 hours or so to see what happens, or if Bitcoin just starts falling through the floor, then we'll also call that a very hard, solid confirmation. Right now, we're seeing kind of a soft confirmation. We're pretty sure there's going to be a new downtrend for reasons other than just this moving average that we'll get to in a second, but we do want to have a little bit more confirmation, because sometimes Bitcoin will fall below a moving average and then bounce right back up above it. That's still a possibility. Although I've been discussing the bearish case, there's still a chance that Bitcoin just bounces right back up above this and ignores the technicals that we're discussing in today's video. So I want to put that as a disclaimer towards the beginning of the video. Just because Bitcoin is below this moving average right now does not necessarily mean for 100% certainty that a new downtrend has started. Let's give it another 24 hours or so, and we'll really start getting confirmation as more of the technical indicators start moving more to the bearish side. Speaking of technical indicators, let's go ahead and dive right on into those. One of the first ones that I want to point out, guys, is one that we've been discussing here recently over the last couple of days, and that would be the MACD, the MACD, guys. The MACD is a very important technical indicator, especially on the daily chart, and as you guys can see, MACD is bearish right now. And it's not just bearish, it is absurdly bearish. Take a look at this histogram down here. Bitcoin's MACD is the most bearish that it has been in a very long time. We have to go back to November of 2018, and we all know what happened in November of 2018. Bitcoin fell below $6,000 in November of 2018, so we would expect the MACD to be that bearish. Bitcoin hasn't been this bearish on the MACD since then, and just because Bitcoin is bearish on the MACD doesn't always mean something, but Bitcoin being this bearish on the MACD does most certainly mean something. This MACD right here, the daily MACD, is probably one of the most important technical indicators for calling the start of a new shorter term to mid-term downtrend. And by what I mean by that, that time frame I'm talking about is like between 2 to 3 weeks. That's what we're looking at right now, is maybe a downtrend between a week to 3 weeks, somewhere around that time frame. So guys, we've covered the MACD, and Hubert is in the background. Let's continue discussing some more technical indicators. One of the ones I want to rehash, I mentioned this in yesterday's video, so I will be brief, would be this longer term uptrend that we had on the RSI here on Bitcoin. Now, guys, I want to point out that we have seen a lot of these little mini pullbacks for like 2 or 3 days worth of pullback, and then Bitcoin bounces. 2-3 day pullback, bounce. 2-3 day pullback, bounce. Bitcoin is seeing one of those 2 or 3 day pullbacks right now, which is why I'm saying that it could still bounce bullish. But there's a lot of things that are different about this pullback. For one, of course, we fell below this moving average. For two, of course, we're seeing the bearish MACD. And for three, if we look at the RSI here, then we're seeing that Bitcoin has actually breached this RSI right now. So I want to kind of dispel the myth that Bitcoin is just in another one of these minor little pullbacks like this one or this one or this one. This pullback that we're experiencing right now on a technical level is factually different. We're seeing a lot of things happen with this pullback that we didn't see with previous ones. So that does mean something. That does mean that there's a better chance that this pullback is going to result in something more major and something more meaningful for the chart rather than just a very short-term correction over the course of 48 to 72 hours. Bitcoin falling below this uptrend on the RSI is just another example of that. Moving out to the weekly chart, let's look at a couple other examples of that because there certainly are some. Bitcoin's MACD out here, I want to look at all three of my oscillators here on the weekly chart. Bitcoin's MACD out here has actually started to close in on itself for the very first time since December of last year. As you guys can see, Bitcoin has been moving up and up and up and up and up. This histogram has been steadily marching forward with the exception of this one candlestick right here. But as we can see with the color change right here, the MACD line is actually converging on the signal line right now. MACD stands for moving average convergence divergence. So we're converging right now rather than diverging like we were during all this time, which means that this MACD is moving in on itself. Now that's not going to mean a whole lot. A cross isn't going to happen in the next month or so. That's going to take a long time to happen because we're on the weekly chart. But the fact that this histogram has actually changed color is signal enough to indicate that there could be something going on the shorter term intervals. Looking at the stochastic RSI and the RSI, we're seeing a similar sign. Bitcoin has been trading up here around the 100 level on the stochastic RSI for a very long time, guys. Ever since back here in the beginning of March, actually, stochastic RSI has been sitting in overbought territory. Both signal lines on both lines on the stochastic RSI have actually sat at exactly 100 for several different points here, several different candlesticks. But now here for this week, Bitcoin has been crashing so much this week and looking so absolutely terrible. We'll get to that in a second. That Bitcoin's stochastic RSI, that's the MACD, stochastic RSI started curving down. Another major thing that we want to look at. Similar thing is being said on RSI. Check out this RSI figure on the weekly chart. That looks like the beginning of a pullback to me, guys. It looks like the beginning of a longer-term downtrend on Bitcoin that would last between a week to 4 weeks, probably between a week to 3 weeks, maybe between 2 weeks to 3 weeks. It depends on where exactly Bitcoin heads as to how long this pullback will be. But this certainly looks like the first of many pullbacks during a bull market like these over here. All of these pullbacks, this is what it looks like Bitcoin is experiencing right now. Bitcoin sees pullbacks in bull markets. That doesn't mean the bull market is over. It just means that Bitcoin needs a little time to relax. Sometimes the bulls get a little carried away, and sometimes the bears get a little carried away. And then the other faction has to come in and reset things. So it's not all that surprising that Bitcoin would have something like this happen, and it's actually very healthy for the Bitcoin market to have a pullback. Now, let's look at this chart. Because, guys, this looks absolutely atrocious. There's been an elephant in the room just kind of sitting here staring at us for the whole time, and this is it. This chart right here on the weekly chart, a lot of times you don't even need technical indicators to do your technical analysis. A lot of times you can just tell what's going on because you take a look at the market, and it just is screaming at you, Jeb, or whatever your name is. Guys, look at this. This is terrible. This thing's about to happen. Check this out. This is what we're talking about right here. Bitcoin looks absolutely horrible right now. Bitcoin has this really long lower wick on this with no body on this candlestick. Long lower wick right here, no upper wick. Shorter body than the one before. Gigantic red candlestick, massive red lower wick, no upper wick. Everything about these candlesticks is screaming bearishness at me, and it's screaming that Bitcoin wants a pullback. It really just desperately wants to pull back. The bears really want to take their profits. And again, guys, that's not surprising in the slightest, nor should it be something that we should be scared of. Bitcoin has been rallying for nearly 120 days, 115 to be exact. It rallied 160, 170%, something like that. So of course people are going to start taking profits. That doesn't mean the bull market is over. It's nothing to be worried about. It doesn't mean to go and start shorting with your life savings. What it does mean is that you want to be careful for the next couple of weeks, because if you start buying right now and trying to sell 2 weeks from now, you're probably going to lose money. But if you buy 2 weeks from now and you sell 2 months from now, you're probably going to make money. So don't get that twisted. Sometimes people will buy when they need to be selling and sell when they need to be buying, either because they got into the market at the wrong time or they read the market wrong in the first place. Don't do that. You'll lose a lot of money. You'll get disenfranchised, and you'll miss one of the biggest opportunities of your life if you decide to leave cryptocurrency because you made a simple mistake like that. Don't do that. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and briefly go over price targets. We did talk about this in the previous video, but there are some things that I want to discuss that we didn't talk about in said video. One of the things I want to give more attention than I did in yesterday's video would be the $6,800 level. This level right here has been very important for the history of Bitcoin. Bitcoin was stuck in almost a trading channel around $6,000 to $6,800 down here back in between June and about November. Bitcoin was very boring for this time. I remember making videos every single day trying to find anything to talk about because Bitcoin was doing nothing but trading sideways. I specifically remember this time period right here. I have no idea what I talked about because there was nothing to talk about. But Bitcoin for a lot of this time period was trading around, getting support and resistance on the $6,800 level. Right here, it started as being the base of an inverse head and shoulders pattern. We got support on it back over here, in fact, and back over here on the candlestick. Even back over here, we got a little bit of support on it. But more recently and more importantly, Bitcoin got resistance, 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 support, support, blah, 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 blah. Very important trades were happening and very important movements were happening around $6,800. So guys, $6,800 is a very important level of support that we're going to be seeing Bitcoin trade on. And while we're doing this, I want to go ahead and bring up the VPVR and bring up a couple of other important levels of support. One of the other major levels of support that we're going to see Bitcoin doing a lot of trading around is likely going to be right here around $6,400 if we decide to go down here. If Bitcoin has the steam in, the bears have the selling pressure in them to go all the way down to $6,000, and they're probably going to be totally honest. As far as a technical retracement is concerned, it would make a whole lot of sense for Bitcoin to go down to $6,000 to retest that level of resistance that we used to start the bull market and then bounce off of it and continue on with the bull market. That would make the most sense to me. All these other levels of support are good, and they're probably going to be pit stops, but it would make the most sense for Bitcoin to go down to $6,000. Another one of those pit stops, like I was saying, would likely be $6,400. You can see over here on the VPVR that there is an absolutely ridiculous amount of trading going on in this region, and that's obviously going to be a major level of support should Bitcoin decide to go that low. Guys, there are a couple more levels of support that I can discuss, but they're mainly just moving averages, and I talked about them all in yesterday's video. I will go ahead and mention one more. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in yesterday's video, but it will be the 20 weekly simple exponential moving average. Bitcoin needs to stay above this moving average, or at least not go too far below it, because if it does, that's not a good thing. Typically in a bull market, Bitcoin literally never goes below this moving average. So if Bitcoin does go below this moving average, we hope it's short-lived. It comes down to 6K and it bounces up. That wouldn't really be a technical break of it. It'd just be a little bit of a test of it. So if Bitcoin comes down below this for a little while, it's not the end of the world, but we probably will see Bitcoin go below it if it decides to go all the way to $6,000. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much everything that we wanted to discuss in today's video. I want to talk about this rally and how it breaking the 20 exponential moving average out on the daily chart is exacerbating it. Bitcoin falling below this level does mean that a rally is, a downtrend. I was going to say a bearish rally, but a downtrend is far more likely now than it was only 24 to 48 hours ago. Bitcoin falling below this, like I said, is a soft confirmation of the beginning of a new downtrend. I want to see Bitcoin close this candlestick and then open another candlestick below the 20 EMA before I say for absolute certain that we're in a downtrend. We want to see a little bit more bearish price action. You guys know the kind of confirmation that we're talking about. This is a technical confirmation, but it's kind of a constructed one. Sometimes Bitcoin won't follow these exactly. Sometimes Bitcoin will bounce above the 20 EMA, so there is that chance. Keep that in the back of your mind. Just because Bitcoin is below the 20 EMA right now does not necessarily mean for 100% certain that Bitcoin is going to $6,000. There is never 100% certainty about anything unless you're insider trading or you're the one doing the market manipulation, and I don't think any of us are, or you wouldn't be watching my videos. So guys, keep that in mind. Keep yourself safe. Make sure you're using your head. Don't trade with your heart. Trade with your head, for the love of God. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for today's video. Good luck to all of you, and I do hope that you get a ton of Bitcoin back into your wallets as Bitcoin continues to move to the downside. I know I'm going to be stocking up for the next bull market. Definitely want to get more Bitcoin in the wallets before we head off to the moon and the stars. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching. Make sure you destroy that like button and tell me exactly how you did it with visceral and graphic detail in the comment section down below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.